What's going on, guys? It's Bobo here from Bushy and Bobo. I almost called myself Bushy just because I was messaging him 2 seconds ago, seeing if he wanted to jump on and do a quick little reaction video. Said not much to react to, which is true because the only flop, whatever you want to call it, is Seattle moving up from 3-2, so Anaheim dropping from 2-3. So your top 15 is going to be Buffalo at 1, then Seattle, Anaheim, New Jersey, Columbus, Detroit, San Jose, LA, Vancouver, uh, Ottawa, Chicago, Calgary, Philly, Dallas, and then the Rangers. Uh, Interesting with Buffalo getting that number one is going to see what they're going to be doing with that and how they decide to retool their team moving forward. With Jack Eichel being a big trade piece, I know during our trade deadline episode on a podcast. If you haven't listened to that, go back, listen to it on Spotify, check the other YouTube videos. Uh, I think Bushy thinks Eichel's going to be getting moved, which I can see too, especially with after the whole injury thing and surgery and whatnot. What's going to happen at the end of the year? Um, it just seems like no, there's no synergy there, and both sides want to. Well, looks like both sides are going to be moving away from each other. So, uh, congrats to Buffalo on getting the first overall pick, and we'll see what happens with that. I know Bushy thought Detroit was going to be dropping down to 8. Um, so when we got to that top 10 there, I was a little more glued to the TV, a little more perked up there. Um, and then seeing them stay at 6 is it's not too bad. And then Vancouver staying at 9 there, seeing Jim Benning and just going uh, sort of pissed me off because I want Benning out of here, but it is what it is. We'll get to it on the next episode of the pod or whatnot. Uh, I know when Bush did the solo pod, he sort of did his playoff predictions and whatnot, and I know that we're already in the second round here, and some teams have already played 2 games. I know the Montreal-Winnipeg game's going on right now. 3-1 Montreal right now in that game. So who knows how that's going to be. I thought after Game 6 of that Montreal-Toronto series that Montreal had this, especially uh, when Game 7 was announced, no fans, but then they said 550. I'm like, all right, maybe Toronto has a chance, but Montreal just outworked them. Um, and I know Bushy did it in his emergency episode yesterday, which I was out on the golf course, so I couldn't get on there with him. But just Toronto is just in a dumpster. Like, you have one of the best teams in the NHL, and you're up 3-1 and you can't finish it. I know Leafs fans are calling for Marner's head and they want him traded and all that. If you're thinking that, give your head a shake. I'm not really going to go into detail because I think we might go into about it more on the weekend when we do a pod. But uh, and when it comes down to Toronto, a couple of things that like Marner's and Matthews, those are you're keeping them both. Obviously, Matthews is your franchise guy. Marner's is right there with them. Tavares got hurt. Does he make a difference? Yeah, absolutely. Hockey injuries are a part of hockey, but someone else is supposed to step up, and no one did. I know a couple of the vets there, like Spezzo says he wants to come back. It sounded like it from what his one interview said that he wants to come back and try to run it back. And if I'm the Leafs and I can get him on a low deal, a 1-year minimum deal, why not? Or similar to what he had. Another vet on the minimum what you have right now is Thornton. I don't think you bring him back. Uh, the guy just looked like he was skating in sludge that series, and uh, I personally think it's time for him to hang up the skates. I don't see it. At the same time, he may be one of those guys that just sits out until near trade deadline and then signs with the contender. Uh, Next thing you know, Joe Thornton's on the Avs next year. I don't know. Um, and the other thing there with the Leafs is goaltending. Jack Campbell hasn't really had a number played as a starting goalie in his career, and he was 29 years old. He's been in the Dallas organization, the Kings organization, and then he got traded to the Leafs. Sort of assumed that number one role or took over that number one role when Anderson went down, and Anderson's now going to be set to be a free agent. So do you let him walk? I know maybe that's something we talk about on the weekend, what the Leafs do to move forward. But Jack Campbell, 29 years old, he had a hell of a series. Just Montreal ended up just playing better in the end. Campbell, I wouldn't mind seeing, if I'm a Leafs fan, I don't mind seeing him in between the pipes next year. Gonna just briefly talk on Montreal there. I think their vets played well. I think that's the one thing that came down in those last two games, Game 6, Game 7, was how your veterans are going to be playing. And for Montreal, that's your captain there. That's Shea Weber. That's Eric Stahl, and that's Corey Perry. For me, those are your three skaters, and then obviously Carey Price, playing like Carey Price of 5 years ago or whatever it is, just an absolute stud. These vets know their roles, and Perry just being a dinker-doodle, standing out front and doing what he can, off his ass or off his leg and in. And hey, it's gonna be. The Montreal series. Like, Montreal is just a weird team. I didn't think they would have a chance necessarily against Winnipeg. They're up 3-1 right now, but I still think the Jets are going to win the series. Just a quick prediction. I know I haven't given my predictions in anything, and we're already a couple games in. So I think the Jets are going to win that series. But I think it's going to be 6 or 7 games. The Islanders-Boston series, I'm rooting for the Islanders. It's sort of been like my number 2/3 team. Detroit is like, I got to root for Detroit because they're right across from the border, and it's always fun going to Wings games. But the Islanders, like, since they drafted Josh Bailey in 08 or 09, whenever it was, I've just been cheering for him. Just ex-Windsor Spitfire, was a fan of him playing for the Spits, and seeing him in the Islanders, and now they got guys like Barzal there, and you had the best number 66 ever in Josh Hosang. But no, like, the Islanders, they're not a flashy team, but they're just a team that's, for me, I like watching them. I don't know why, but I do, and maybe because I'm boring. But they're tied up in Boston 1-1 that series, hoping that they pull out. Tampa Bay versus Carolina. Tampa's up 2-0 in that series, and I think they're going to take that no problem. And then Colorado, Vegas. I think Colorado takes that in 5 games. I'll give Vegas a game there. Colorado's just a sweet team. They're just fun to watch. So yeah, just a quick little rundown on the draft lottery. A little thing on that Leafs Habs series and what I think the Leafs not necessarily should do or whatnot. So like I said, we'll get into that later on. Just wanted to make a little 10-minute video and go from there. And before I wrap this up, I'm just taking a quick look on NHL, see if there's anything else that would be interesting to go off of. Nothing that I can see. Obviously, just the Leafs aren't going to be parting way with Marner, which, like I said, that would be stupid if they did. Maybe we'll do it. We're going to have a pod film one this weekend, and then we'll maybe go over some awards or whatever, or nominees and all that. Just because I know a couple of them were announced already, and I know these fan awards are out now, but yeah, we'll go from there and see how it is. So until whenever this uploads or whenever the next pod drops, healthyscratch.ca, wherever you get your podcasts from, Spotify, YouTube, Apple, Google, check us out there. We're on TikTok and Twitter. So take it easy. Bobo out.